Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. Your Philadelphia Flyers are 3-1 after 4 games. Who the hell saw that coming? We're respecting their play. We're enjoying watching the power play. They're scoring power play goals. Noah Cates is showing that he can play in this league, and John Tortorella absolutely loves him. There's a lot of positives, and there's actually some fans out there that are so bothered by this because they want to tank for Bedard and they want to suck and they want to be a bad hockey team. I'm sorry, I just can't feel that way right now. I am so hungry to watch a team that could actually play, and I don't know how long this is going to last. Deep down, they'll probably fall back to reality, and you might get what you want, which is good odds when the ping pong balls start flying. But for right now, for what it's worth, I'm actually enjoying sitting down and watching this team compete, and that satisfies me as a fan. I feel that John Tortorella has gotten everybody in the offseason to go, oh, shit, I got to be prepared. Oh, if I'm not ready to go, then I'm not going to play. And now everybody is getting an extra percentage out of them that they didn't know they had deep down. So Travis Konecny, I'm not surprised that he's starting to score a bunch of goals and look like a player that we thought he could be in the past. Maybe there was no sense of urgency under previous regimes to work your ass off, and now John Tortorella forces you to, and he looks like a completely different player. I'm just proud of them right now. I am. You go into a back-to-back scenario, you fall down 2-0 to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Steven Stamkos is ripping power play goals. You fall behind, and it's their home opener. They just got their asses kicked before. That's the Tampa Bay Lightning, that is. Their Stanley Cup caliber team. And you do what? You climb back into it? And then Noah Cates creates a beautiful opportunity in the slot by getting his stick on puck, creating a turnover, getting up on the defenseman, and turns around and rips it past Vasilevsky for the 3-2 lead? In what world? Prior to that, you get a power play goal. And what was the other one? Oh, was they just threw pucks on net the first goal? You're down 2-0. You throw a puck on net. Vasilevsky kind of kicks it to the far side, and Scott Lawton's there to put it home in an empty net. Good things happen when you pepper the netminder, even the best in the league. Create your golden opportunities. Create your own chances. Put pucks on net. You never know what can happen. And I know they fell in Florida, but with your backup goalie in Sandstrom, who I thought had a good day. He made some spectacular saves. Within those spectacular saves, though, I thought that there are some goals that maybe you should have. Now, I'm not putting the blame on him by any means. They fought until the last second. They scored late. Kevin Hayes with a beautiful dish to Travis Konecny on the far side to make it a one-goal game, but there was barely any time left. It's just more of a description of this team playing until the very last buzzer and not showing any quits. But within Sandstrom's amazing saves, he got beat short side with a snipe. I thought the final goal, it might have got deflected. It might have got tipped from the stick, but still gets beat there. Even the second goal on the glove side. I'm just saying, I know a lot of the takeaways from it is he was awesome and he really stood on his head, which no doubt, no doubt, I'm not taking that away from him at all. I didn't love the goals he let up, though, but he's not the reason why you lost the game. And that's kind of been a lot of the description of Carter Hart, too. A lot of the goals Carter Hart has let up, you go, he probably wants to have that one back. Ooh, that squeaked through. Now you're down a couple goals. But without the ridiculousness, go back to what happened in Vancouver when they were down 2-0, and he makes a save where his right pad is going post to post and hugging that right side of the post. Now it's 2-0 still instead of 3-0. And what do you know? The Flyers create some energy. There's some momentum from that. And then the Flyers fight back. Lawton uses a bank pass off the wall. Travis Konecny, banks the puck off the wall and gives Scott Lawton a chance on a breakaway. He buries. That was after Tony DeAngelo at the blue line. Finds Twine. Perfect. Top corner. That thing was ripped through some traffic. I don't know how it found that seam, but it did. It's like perfectly under the bar. And before you knew it, TK's cleaning up some garbage in front of the net, right in front of the crease. And your Flyers fought back. But you got to think, at that time, you won your home opener against the Devils. That was game 2 of the season. And it's like, okay, Vancouver. Who is Vancouver? And we're starting to realize that Vancouver is struggling putting away teams. And they're blowing big leads. It was really the Tampa and the Florida back-to-back that shows me a lot. I thought that they'd get destroyed. They'd work hard, but would that be enough? And we're starting to see young kids play well. Provorov and Tony DeAngelo is looking good as a pair at the moment. Your power play is keeping you in game. Think about how demoralizing it is. And trust me, we've seen this over the years where you're down 2-0. You get a power play chance. You don't score at all. There's 0 chances. The other team's dumping the puck out of the zone. You have to try and reset. You can't get through the neutral zone. They're dumping it behind your goal line again, and you can't establish any zone time or any shots on net. And then the other team actually gains the advantage because when you PK so strongly, there is something that you could benefit from that, and your team gets a jolt. Now, instead of that, it's 2-1, and you're back in the game. That's game-changing stuff. No matter what the disparity is within your roster and your talent. Because especially if your goalie's going to come up big, now it's all right. Could have been 3-1, still 2-1. Let's go, boys. Let's create some chances by getting up on the forecheck, playing the body, and getting a turnover. And let's get an odd man rush. Let's jump up in the play and see what we can do on a 3-on-2. Or force them to take another penalty. Keep moving your feet. Maybe you get tripped, lazy with their sticks, high stick in the face. Things of that nature. There's been timely penalty kills if we're going to look at the special teams. I'm just so proud of them. I really am. I can't believe. In Florida, Nick Seeler is scoring a goal. John Tortorella spoke about this after the game. You're going to need a lot of different guys. And by the way, they're doing this without Cam Atkinson and Ristolainen. Now, I don't know what Ristolainen is going to do. I'm not telling you this team is perfect. I'm telling you through 4 games, they showed me a lot. Now, adrenaline of the new season, the new coach. Are they more conditioned than everybody else? And then once everyone else kind of gets their conditioning up to speed, 10, 15 games into the season, will you see the Flyers fall back to reality? Maybe. But I'll tell you what, this is best case scenario if you want a good product. If you started the season off flat and you're 0-3, 0-3-1, you're losing games, you can barely score goals, your power play looks bad, your penalty kill is allowing too many power play goals, and you're getting shredded. You're taking dumb penalties out the wazoo. It's something that happened last year. I didn't think that they were as bad on paper as what their final record was. But at some point, it got so ugly, and it got so embarrassing that they couldn't stop the bleeding. It just kept pouring out and pouring out and pouring out. They were destroyed. They were so beaten down. They had no chance. This is almost the other side of it. Instead of it going the wrong way, maybe this beginning stage of the season, if you start out, what are they, 3-1? What if they're 6-2, 6-2-1? Is it possible that there's a sense of belief and an understanding that we can do this? Last year was a fluke. Trust me, Tortorella is buying into the nobody believes that we can do anything. On top of just his presence being so physically demanding and mentally demanding that they're answering at this moment. it's easy to buy in when the results are there. If the results continue to be there, can this generate the opposite of last year, where the bleeding is just pouring out of you? Whatever the metaphor or the simile or the whatever it is, the comparison to that, just in the positive direction. The blood stays inside of you. Can you keep the blood inside of you? I don't know. I have no idea. I do know, though, that I'm enjoying this. Nick Seeler and Zach McEwen are on the score sheet. But getting back to what Torty was saying, he said you need everybody. You're going to need Nick Seeler. You're going to need Zach McEwen. And that's something that he said before the season began. He said that in all of his press conferences. I don't know where we're going to get our goals from. It's going to be a combination of everybody. Lawton, TK. It's a shame because TK probably could have had another goal against Florida, but Joel Farabee carried himself offside. But think about how tough that can be. You're down 2-0 to the Florida Panthers. You think you score a goal to cut the lead in half. Travis Konecny cuts across, rips it again, low left corner. Amazing shot. He's just beating goalies. Like he's finding twine legitimately with his wrister and his snapshot again. Feels good, doesn't it? Like I think between him and Cam Atkinson, I can actually rely on people to score goals. I can't wait to see Cam back. And with Joel, we went through a big issue physically with an injury in the offseason. I'm sure he'll kind of get into a rhythm at some point. He was asked about what he's looking forward to kind of doing this year to make a bigger leap, and he said consistently. He thought at times he would do a lot of work in bunches, and what he wants to see is over the 82, be more of a consistent player at that pace. But you got to factor in kind of the offseason that he had, and, just something I'm looking for out of Joel Farabee. My point is, you're not as good as Florida. You're on a back-to-back. You worked harder than anybody else in your training camp, which plays a role in the fatigue level when you start the season out. If other guys are going to take the Nick Sirianni approach when it comes to training camp, it's like, hey, just be ready for the season, more of a nonchalant. We'd rather have you healthy. We'd rather have you not beaten down. While Torty's running you in the ground, there's two ways to look at it. You're tired, yet you're better conditioned than them. Just kind of looking at it from that perspective. You think you cut the lead in half, and it gets taken off the board because of an offsides. How do you respond? Nick Seeler. Nick Seeler. Although, the negative of Nick Seeler is something you saw that just can't happen. It was a 2-on-2, entering your own zone, and at your own blue line, you let someone sneak behind you, and he had a mini breakaway. Nasty backhand, top shelf. Where mama hides the cookies, as they say. But a 2-on-2 at this level, you cannot get beat. And you especially can't get beat that easily where someone just slips behind you. There's a nice pass from Bennett, and then you're all alone. Like, it just can't happen. But that's what is going to happen with the Sealer out there. Unfortunately. That was a bit of a backbreaker, if you will. But I'll tell you what, they're at the point when the Phillies ended, which they lost Game 2 of the NLCS, and we were bothered by it. Flyers were on at the same time. Last year, I didn't care what was happening at the end of the games. I didn't care. They weren't watchable. I was so ready to see how they were going to finish the third, because when the third period started, the baseball game was over. So the Flyers had my full attention. Even when the Sixers, the Phillies, and the Flyers were playing on Tuesday night, Flyers actually caught my eye more than the basketball team did. Nothing more than the Phillies. And since we're on this topic, I do want to throw this out there. Right now, there's a lot going on in the sports world with the Phillies in the postseason, the Sixers getting underway, the Flyers. And Tuesday's a good example because all three teams played. A lot of people are asking me, bro, Sixers video, Flyers video. I am on it, trust me. I have things scheduled out where I will get to the teams, I promise. But when all three of them play on the same night, I'm not going to be able to get 3 post-game podcasts out. So within a couple-day window, I'll get exactly the content that you're looking for, I promise. For the Sixers, they play the Bucks. I'm going to do a Celtics-Bucks combination video and have that out there for a Sixers show. So until the until the Phillies are finished, which I hope is no time soon, they're going to take the number one priority, and then the other teams will fill out accordingly. I just want to put that out on the record, and I'll probably explain that again in the next Sixers show because I know not everyone's a Flyers fan, and Sixers fans are asking for Sixers content, and that's kind of the way that she's going right now. But ultimately, they're blocking shots. Scott Lawton's leaving his body out there. I wouldn't be surprised if 7 of his limbs are still left in Florida for the amount of shots he's eaten. And he's the only one with the letter on his chest. So that just puts you in a spot where you kind of understand where John Tortorella is with him. Provorov. I like the Provorov I've seen to this point. I didn't know how him and Tony DeAngelo would look. And Tony looks good too. There's always going to be mishaps in the D zone when you have a guy who's offensive-minded like Tony. But if you're getting the offensive production, the guy's putting up a lot of points. He's getting assists. The power play runs because of him at the top. And without him at the top with this poise and patience to use the forwards along the half wall there and to use the bumper in the middle of the slot and JVR doing his role. Come on, we know JVR is overpaid. We know we don't love the JVR contract. But right now, he's sitting in front of the net. He's taking away the goalie's eyes, or he's tipping a puck and putting it past him. The contract is what it is, but what is the value that you're going to get when he's out there? And that's something that he does extremely well. And he's being put in positions to succeed. And the life of the youth is very important too. They're kind of the motor right now. A lot of times in sports, we rely on the veterans. Well, we need the veteran, and trust me, Lawton, Kevin Hayes, there are veterans to rely. I think Cam Atkinson was very big, knowing that Tortorella runs camp a certain way. There's a lot of young ones going, hey, what's it going to be like? Reaching out to him. How should we approach this? When there's something that the whole league knows about Tortorella and one guy has played for him or knows a lot more about him than others, let's say, there's so much value in that. So guys are doing their roles. But I think the Noah Cates, I think guys like that, TK, he's veteran. He's veteran now. He's played enough hockey. He's veteran now. But he's in that weird mix. TK's got to be what? Is he 27 years old? He is 25. He's 25 years old. So, you know, I put that in he's played enough hockey, so he's not Noah Cates level. But still, I mean, there's some 25 years old, and he's out there scoring the biscuit for you. And just the way that he chirps and screams, and he's the energy guy, on top of actually having a lot of skill. And he's scoring a lot. You're getting production from everywhere. And when everyone's moving in the same direction, it's so sad that this is what I'm thinking of right now, but I'll just be honest with you. Mighty Ducks D2. Gordon Bombay. When you get the Team USA guys to connect with the Mighty Duck guys, he ties them in the rope and say, all right, let's skate. And they all fall down. And then when they start moving in the same direction, they can actually get going. It seems everyone is just moving in the same direction. They're tied up in that rope right now. No matter how many games played, no matter what your contract is, no matter if you're in and out of the lineup, doesn't matter. They have the same vision. And it's to prove that they're actually something this year. And for what it's worth, right now, it's working. You could tell how much they're bought in by how many block shots they're doing. Carter Hart's amazed by how much their defensemen are leaving their body on the line. That's winning hockey, though. I'm taking it as a positive. I've just seen a lot of people upset about it because, well, they just wanted to lose. And that's not what I'm going to do. All right, we have Anytime Hotline stuff. Let's take a call.
Hey, Brody. Ken C. here. Big sports fan, Philadelphia fan, of course, but I've been watching the Flyers, and these kids got a lot of gump. I tell you, Tortorella got them going. I gave them a lot of credit, especially the back-to-back. I mean, they played in Florida 2 nights, and they come out swinging, as we say, against Florida. Yeah, they lost, but you know what? This kid's got some fire. I'm looking forward to the season. Thanks, man.
Well, thank you for calling into the show. I think I think you got to look at these 2 games. I don't want to discredit their win against the Devils. I thought the home opener was phenomenal, and it actually was a good night where I enjoyed the environment. It was awesome to see a packed barn, and I didn't know what the fans would be like. I didn't know how everyone would react. And Morgan Frost, that's another name, Morgan Frost. There were some, look, even though I thought they didn't deserve to win against Florida, there were chances for them to squeak out of this. Morgan Frost had a big chance to score, couldn't bury. JVR had a big chance to score, couldn't bury. Travis Konecny had the one that was removed. If that wasn't removed, how much does that change? So that's more on Joel Farabee for drawing himself off sides. But my point is, even though they didn't play the better hockey game, they weren't far off from sneaking away with another one. What we would like to do is stop falling down 2-0. You're not going to win many games. And the argument now is you're not going to keep this up because of Carter Hart's save percentage. Carter Hart, with his save percentage, is stealing the show. And that's not a recipe for success. Yes and no. Isn't goaltending why you win in this league? It is possible for a goalie to carry you far. Oh, no doubt about it, it is. Now, at some point, he's going to have weaker games, weaker stretches, weaker months. But maybe at that point, Cam Atkinson is back and you're scoring a bit more. Maybe the scoring is a tick up. Is it the same? I guess in the totality of it, his save percentage is so high, so it's not going to get much better. But I was going to bring up the fact that some of these goals he's allowing are weak. So in regards to falling behind early 2-0, if he cleans that up and still has the same save percentage, but it plays out differently throughout the 60 minutes where you're not allowing those soft goals early and now it's 0-0 for a little bit more time. Now you take a 1-0 lead. And you still might allow 2 goals by the end of it, but it's one in the second period that was an unbelievable shot, and then a power play goal, which makes sense because someone's wide open due to the fact that you're missing someone and your back door. Does that change anything by the end of it? I don't know. I'm just spitting something out of my ass at this point. But I think there's legitimacy to it. I tied that together in a way that made sense, though. Makes sense in my brain. Although my brain, I don't know if you want to trust at times. Some text messages. Johnny, do you see this start as real? 2-0 start at home and predicted a Florida trip going differently, showing true colors. But I saw a team coached by John that played tough and played hard against the Panthers, went down the whole time. Do I see it as real? This describes Tortorella hockey. So from that perspective, yeah, I do. I think this is a real style that you can say you will get due to John Tortorella. Will guys be able to execute all the way through? Will other teams with more talent expose some things? Yeah. I think the stylistic of the play is real. At some point, talent just takes over in professional sports. There's also crazy stories that happen every year. There's teams you think that are going to blow that end up being okay. There's teams that you think are going to be phenomenal that aren't. There were a ton of injuries last year for the Flyers, specifically up the middle. I don't know how many teams are able to kind of bounce back from that. I also have no idea where Sean Couturier is and what to even expect when he does take the ice again due to all the injuries throughout his career at this point. So there's a lot to factor into, this team over 82. But I do know what product he's selling and the style of the way they play. That's real. That's real. That's a belief in kind of his approach. Ross, comment on John Tortorella's impact, please. Okay. He leans on players in an aggressive way, but it's perfect. Blue collar and fits the city. I knew that was coming at some point. The good old his way of coaching is what this city needs because I want 1970 hockey again and I want the 1980s where you bring your lunch pail to work and you got your boots on and you go to work every day. He does have that. I can't run away from it. He does have that. But his impact is massive. I stated it from the rip. This team, the players right now, I think they had to dig so deep for this guy that they're even going to a level they didn't know they had. If you thought Travis Konecny was a 20-goal scorer, you might see a 28-goal scorer. Now, did Travis Konecny think he could be a 30-goal scorer in this league? Probably. But it's not as if that's shown. So, yeah, these guys believe they can play, but I'm just saying, you work so hard, you grind every day, your off-season has that much more of a focus. You're going into a training camp with John Tortorella, and you're going to the weight room, and you're working out with your trainers in the off-season. You don't think you're busting your ass differently, knowing if you don't show up, and if you're not ready to compete, your ass might not make the team, or you might not play at all. He's not playing any games. So because of that, every single day for months and months and months preparing, by the time you hit the ice, you're in a totally different spot than you would be if Alain Vigneault was back. And that's no disrespect to Alain Vigneault. That happens a lot with a lot of new coaches. But if your new coach is more of a player's guy, if your new coach is not John Tortorella, maybe you do handle your business differently in the offseason. So think of the daily grind over 3-4 months, each and every day, given maybe 10% more than you would if you were running it back or having a softer coach. And think of how much that matters over the window of it. So now these players are performing at a different rate because of almost a fear level of what Tortorella might do. And that's why you're getting the results that you're getting. And if you win based off of that, it just pushes everybody more because it's not about hope at that point. The belief is right there. Just look at the results. The results are telling you everything. It's working. So let's stick with it. So that's where we're at with the Fly Guys right now. I want to thank everybody so much for hanging out with me, and I will catch you on the next one.